On the pilot episode of
Fake news.
we bring you an intriguing story, our story, the Americas. My name is Daquan Johnson, and this is my co-host.
Muhammad Algir Keemstar.
We'll bring you the first story.
First item on our agenda is Jamestown, the first English settlement in America, founded in 1608 in Virginia.
Next, in 1620, we had the Pilgrims, who traveled to America on the Mayflower, and on it, they signed the Mayflower Compact, which was a type of constitution that became the New World.
In 1692, a series of trials based on hysteria and false claims, 20 women were sentenced to death for being accused of witchcraft.
In 1720, we had the Great Awakening, where George Whitefield and Jonathan Edwards led a revival in the Americas.
In 1754, the French and Indian War occurred, which was a war between France and English, and the French employed the Indians to sabotage America.
In 1760, we had the Sugar, Stamp, and Quartering Acts, where England was basically unfairly treating the Americas, as they were able to board in colonist homes without approval, and there was unfair tax on sugar and stamps.
Following this was the Treaty of Paris, which basically told France that they couldn't mess with this anymore, and overall ended the war between the French and English.
In 1770, to pay for the war, and kind of due to the tensions that were rising, a group of British opened fire into a group of protesting colonists, murdering 3, including a little boy.
In 1773, a few years later, the Samuel Adams and the Sons of Liberties boarded an English ship and destroyed thousands of dollars worth of tea.
In 1774, the First Continental Congress met to discuss what they would do about the uprising tensions.
The next year, English started to invade. Paul Revere rode through all the settlements telling everyone that the regulars were coming.
In 1776, the Declaration of Independence was signed by the Founding Fathers, and it was basically a Declaration of Independence from the England.
The Articles of Confederation followed a couple years later, which was essentially the first written constitution of America.
The Newburgh Conspiracy was when the Continental Army basically rose up in rebellion because they were not getting paid their due wages from the war by the Continental government.
Following this was the Shays Rebellion, which was many farmers who were upset with local law enforcement.
Next, we have George Washington. Kind of brought everything together. He was the first president of the United States, and he was the one who basically created the idea that after 2 terms of 4 years, he would step down as president and the next would follow.
Following this in the same year was the Bill of Rights, which is fairly self-explanatory.
In 1790, the Alien and Sedition Acts basically allowed the government to deport any illegal immigrants. Trump.
In 1790, the Whiskey Rebellion occurred, which was a bunch of farmers and rednecks being very upset that they couldn't drink whiskey.
In 1804, we purchased Louisiana from Napoleon for $15 million.
In the same year, Lewis and Clark explored the Louisiana territory with Sacagawea.
In the War of 1812, it was U.S. versus Britain, but America came on top due to our superior navy.
In the same year, Francis Scott Key, on an actually English ship, wrote the Star-Spangled Banner.
Still sung today. In 1812, the Monroe Doctrine was created, which basically the U.S. would not meddle in overseas affairs, that they were content with the land that we already had, and we would develop it.
The Pony Express was developed shortly after, which was essentially our email.
Basically. Our Harriet Tubman was a former slave who became an abolitionist and reformer, and she helped to lead the Underground Railroad and free slaves.
Sam Houston, although he was not at the Alamo, he will be remembered along with the Alamo, which was a battle between Mexico and America over Houston.
In the Oregon Trail, it's 2,170 miles, and it's a trail from the east to the west.
The California Gold Rush happened in 1849, and that was a series of mines were located that had gold in them, so everyone was trying to get rich.
In the Fugitive Slave Law, it was basically a law that said any runaway slaves would be treated as criminals and they were to be brought back, and it was kind of nicknamed the Bloodhound Law due to the bloodhounds that were used to track down the slaves.
Abraham Lincoln was the 16th president. He suffered a great deal of controversy due to slavery during his terms.
Jefferson Davis was the Confederate president.
The American Civil War was the bloodiest war in American history, sadly between our own brothers.
The Battle of Gettysburg was the bloodiest war between the North and the South, and it led Lincoln to write his moving speech, the Gettysburg Address.
Ulysses S. Grant. He was the Northern General and later became the President of the United States.
Robert E. Lee, General of the Confederate Army. Appomattox.
The Appomattox Courthouse is where Robert E. Lee surrendered to the Northern Army, thus ending the Civil War.
Andrew Johnson, an incredible man. He was the 17th president, and he became the president because he was the vice president of Lincoln, and Lincoln was executed, and he was then the new president who stepped forward.
Following abolition, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution were created, which essentially created rights for slaves.
Andrew Carnegie, an entrepreneur, created the biggest steel industry in America, which helped with the railroad system.
John D. Rockefeller was America's first billionaire and the founder of the Standard Oil Company.
John P. Morgan was the leading investment banker for the Americas.
Booker T. Washington was the Tuskegee Institute president, and W.E.B. Du Bois led a group that opposed his institution.
Darwinism, basically invented by Charles Darwin, was an idea of natural selection, and basically species evolve into new species, and we come from apes. That's how we got opposable thumbs. Already true.
The Transcontinental Railroad was a transcontinental railroad. It went from continent. So
1,912 miles. Alaska-Hawaii Purchase. We purchased that land from Russia.
the Spanish-American War was solely fought by navies, and it was between Spain and America.
Teddy Roosevelt, he was the 26th President of the United States. He was an explorer, he was a naturalist, a reformer, a great man.
Henry Ford, one of the leaders of the Industrial Revolution, he gave us the Mustang, the F-150, the Raptor.
And the assembly line.
Oh yeah.
And then finally, story of the night, we have the Bright Brothers. And they gave us the first airplane. Bless them. Thank you for joining us for the first issue of
Fake news.
America.
Allahu Akbar!